example of
the first part of it, as you know, was mainly to make a general assessment on the possibilities. Was it possible or not? What would be the best solution for the shipping industry to adopt? Would it be new buildings, old buildings, retrofitting, and so forth? And it came to a conclusion. It came to tools that allow to assess economically and technically what would be the solutions to follow. So it has been very good in that sense. The good part of Poseidon Med ΙΙ is that it's going one step further, so it's going to develop into final design of technical solutions. And hopefully this will pave the way so that ships will be built, and ships may start to be built end of next year. So in this sense it's very promising. Well, I think that the Mediterranean countries, that in this case are led by Greece, are making good progress. We have to be fair and recognize that in the north, in the Baltic and in the North Sea, many of the ship owners, or some of the ship owners, are more developed and are already implementing a number of measures. But one has also to recognize that there in the Baltic and in the North Sea, there is an obligation. There is a regulation that forces sulfur emissions to be reduced to 0.1%. So that has forced ship owning to take drastic action and install in the ships either scrubbers, abatement measures, or going for LNG or for methanol, or also using MGO. But as you know, MGO is not a very, well, it's good now because the price is very low, but 1 year ago was unbearably high. So all this considered, I think that Poseidon Med is gathering together a number of ship owners and shipping interests in the Eastern Mediterranean that is doing quite well, because you're doing this on a voluntary basis. You're not doing this because you have to meet the legislation. You're doing this because you're identifying a good opportunity to invest in new ships, to replace the old ships, and instead of using old technologies, you're developing a fresh vision and trying to have new ships which are sustainable, which can last for long. So that's very good. That's very good to see that shipping has a long-term vision. Huh?
About the opportunities for the Greek economy.
Well, first of all, this will guarantee that shipping in Greece will continue to guarantee cohesion because it's an archipelago state as well. That will allow the shipping interests to be competitive, but I hope that in addition to that, it will allow for a certain refreshment of the shipbuilding and the ship equipment industry, because if all these vessels are going to be built, it is a pity if part of it is not built or equipment is not built by Greek industries. And if there is the good approach, which would be to support those Greek industries, then I think it will be very important, very beneficial for Greece as a whole, this investment.
And a few things about the advantages of Piraeus port and around the area of the port in order to develop the use of LNG.
Piraeus it is not a. We are just repeating what is obvious, and Piraeus has always been a central place. A port which is geostrategically located, and of course for us in Europe, one of our main maritime trade sources is the Suez Canal, and Piraeus is placed on a very nice spot. In addition to that, it will be a place where there will be economies of scale, which will be enough to have a good investment in LNG that can support also smaller areas, the islands, that usually would not benefit from that. So the investments that will happen around the port of Piraeus, counting on the economies of scale generated by the port of Piraeus, will also benefit smaller regions that otherwise would not have benefit or access to LNG.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank
All
you.
the best.
Thank you.
Bye.